Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Wow. Bank of Canada raises interest rate 1 full point. Woo! That's the biggest increase in 20 years. Just to give you an idea, a lot of people have difficulty of figuring out, well, what does this mean to me? Let's just take the average mortgage, okay? Let's say you have a $400,000 mortgage, 25-year amortization at 3%. Your monthly payments would be $1,893. 1 point increase, which has just occurred, would increase your monthly payments to $2,104. The increase, $211 a month.
Wow.
Over a 25-year amortization. That's what 1 point means. Just to give you an idea, okay? If you don't think it affects you, don't forget it also affects lines of credit, etc., etc. But even though you don't have a loan, you don't have a mortgage, you still have a country that is deeply, 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 deeply in debt. You have a province that is deeply, deeply, deeply in debt. You have to pay the interest. Your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will have to pay the debt. You apparently, or most people, seem quite content with that. But you have got to pay the interest, whether you like it or not. Not only does this affect mortgage and bank rates, increases interest payments on the tremendous debts that have been rung up by all levels of government. Federal, provincial, and municipal. Pierre Poilievre, you may remember, this was, John, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Pierre Poilievre stood in the House and tried desperately to get Chrystia Freeland to tell us how much 1% increase in interest would cost us in interest payments on the federal debt.
Right.
He stood there and he said, listen, interest payments are low now. You're boasting about the fact this is the time to borrow money. Interest payments are low. But interest payments will go up. Inevitably, they will go up, said Pierre. And he was right. Everybody knew it. So he said to the finance minister, when interest rates go up 1%, how much more will this cost us in interest payments? Chrystia Freeland either didn't know, which is probable, even though she's the finance minister, or she refused to say, which is not uncommon with Liberals. So we didn't get the answer. But most economists say, listen, it's a little hard to figure because the debt keeps escalating every single day. But essentially what we're looking at, folks, with a 1% increase that just occurred today, we were looking at about an increase in the interest payments on the federal debt alone of about $1.5 billion every month. Now, about a year ago, in fact, I've pounded away at this. Nobody seems to pay the least bit of attention. But I pointed out about a year ago, listen, if we keep racking up the kinds of debts we are now at all levels, and if the interest payments begin to increase, the interest begins to escalate, we are looking at a situation where the combined interest payments on federal and provincial debts will soon be about $1 billion a week. It's not quite there yet, apparently, but we're looking at right now with the increase of 1%, we're looking at about $50 billion a year. That's very close to $1 billion a week in interest payments. Please keep in mind, you and me and you, John, and you, Jane, and you, Anne, and you, Peter, and you, Craig, all of you, one way or the other, you're paying the interest. Even though you may not be paying income tax, you're still paying the interest. It's one of the reasons. I mean, all of the taxes you pay when you buy gasoline, when you buy clothes, whatever the heck you buy a legal service, you're paying tax. Some of that tax goes not for health care, not to fix the roads, not to build schools, not to house the homeless, not to clean up the Rideau River. It goes from your pocket, your pocketbook, right directly from you, Anne, Peter, John, Lowell, right from you to rich corporations, rich people, rich institutions. People, corporations, institutions rich enough to loan money to governments. Not too many of us can afford to loan money to governments, but rich people, corporations, etc., they love it because it's guaranteed. There's no risk involved. So they love loaning governments money. So this 1% increase is going to increase interest payments on the federal debt alone of about $500 million every single month. In other words, about $6 billion a year, just in the 1% increase. And they say the increase is going to continue. I don't know if anybody's concerned about this. One of the problems is that this is the kind of thing that contributes to inflation. Is anybody concerned about the high cost of food and everything else out there? Which in turn, inflation contributes to, and many people fear, a recession. In fact, there's a recent poll out. A lot of people think we are already in a recession. I'm not sure. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an economist. All I know is it's bloody expensive out there, no matter where you turn. Thank you, Doug Ford, for reducing the cost of gasoline by almost 6 cents a liter. That's the only place in Ontario where you get any kind of a break. But what I'm saying to you is that we have lived high off the hog. Governments at every level have just been throwing money at us. Now, in some cases, it was needed, the pandemic, et cetera, but money was being thrown at us long before the pandemic, certainly federally and provincially. Billions gone into green energy. We've already been through that. But are you worried? Do you think we're in a recession? What would a recession mean to you? And of course, it raises all kinds of questions. Okay, we go into a recession. We're already deeply in debt. Interest payments are going up. Okay, in a recession, you lose jobs. Unemployment skyrockets. Welfare sky. Where are we going to get the money for welfare? Where will we get the money for health care? We've got to spend billions of dollars more on health care. This system is crumbling. I mean, it's a crumbling system. We sure as hell saw that during the pandemic. We need to spend billions. Where are we going to get the money? But it's not, and I've said this before too. It's not just the federal and provincial government. Look at the city of Ottawa. Just throwing money. As public servants, people who work for the city, free parking. Ordinary Joes, you got to pay what, $15, $20 a day? I don't know. It's a lot. Free if you go up and plug in your car at City Hall, you get free fuel. Beautiful. Well, it's not free. You and me got to pay for it. The taxpayers got to pay for it. They've just agreed to spend. I mean, how many millions of dollars on a brand new spanking spiffy public library?
Oh, it's into the billions, isn't it?
I mean, no, it's not in the billions, but it's up into the tens of millions.
I'll Google that.
For a dying industry. Folks, I have news for you. Hardly anybody buys or reads hardcover books anymore. I mean, and even if they did, this is surely to God. But that's just one. We've talked before about the electric buses. They're going to spend double on electric buses what it would cost for diesel to provide transportation that's no better. In fact, maybe even worse. Just as one example.
$306 million for the library. It is already $131 million over budget.
I mean, can I ask you a question? Are we nuts? I mean, have we taken total leave of our senses? We're now heading into probably a recession, inflation skyrocketing, debts piling up, up over our head. And we're spending what, over $300 million on a spiffy new library that we don't need? Come on. We're going to spend double on electric buses that don't provide better service. I could go on and on and on. It's just one example. It just, I think that, and I think that large segments of the public got to, got to accept some blame here as well. Apparently, there are a lot of people out there think that it's a money tree. You just shake the money tree and down falls money. Well, I'm going to tell you, the chainsaw is now being applied to the money tree. Recent polls out show what? How much supports for the Liberals now still?
It's about 31% for the Liberals, 32 and climbing for the NDP, and the Conservatives sitting, right behind the Liberals, technically at about 30%.
How can you support that? I mean, you would think that by now, after a few visits to the grocery store, a few visits to the gas pump, that people would wise up.
Here you go. Liberals 32%. That's down 1 point from last month. CPC at 28%. NDP at 21%. That's up 3.
You know what, folks? We're getting what we want, apparently. Apparently, this is what we want. So I'm going to tell you, if I'm still on the air, if I'm still alive in a year's time, and, interest rates have gone beyond you can't afford to even buy a hot dog anymore, don't come screaming to me on this program and say, oh, my God. I've been trying to warn for over a year now. You cannot continue to spend and spend and spend until all hell breaks loose. Sooner or later, it's an old saying on the farm, sooner or later, those chickens come home to roost. Well, they're coming home to roost, folks. Every time you go into the store, you're paying more and more for the roost. John, is anybody concerned or anybody care out there anymore? I don't know. If we still have 3 people in 10 still would support this kind of stuff. I mean, I think, you know what? I think the question is valid. Like, are we gone nuts here? Go ahead, please, John.
I maintain, Lowell, as I said to you before we got on the air, and I've said to you before, I think people have been so disinterested and disengaged from politics for so long, they can't make any sense of what's going on. And yes, they think money just falls out of the government's pockets and into their own bank accounts. I saw somebody post today after I said that the government or Bank of Canada had increased the interest rate to 2.5%. Somebody said, oh, well, that's not so bad. I remember back in the day when mortgages were 19.5%, completely oblivious to what a 2.5% increase is actually going to cost them. That's not the cost of borrowing your mortgage. That's an increase.
Of course, there's another consideration here.
Okay.
If inflation continues, we'll be faced with an 18% interest rate again. Why do you think this was under Pierre Trudeau, by the way?
Right.
Why do you think we went to 18 and 19% on interest rates? Inflation was wild. That's why. I mean, folks, you got to put your thinking cap on. This is our country. We're desperately need for healthcare. We need money for this. We need real problems that got to be solved here. But instead of that, we're pouring out almost $1 billion every single week in interest payments. Can you imagine what $1 billion a week would do if we could put that into healthcare? We would have the world's #1 healthcare system. There would be no emergency delays. You'd be in immediately. They'd have the finest treatment, all the rest of it. There would be no shortage. There'd be doctors knocking at your door. But instead of that, rack up more debt, more money going out to the big corporations and rich people. Well, if that's what people want, just keep voting the way you have, folks. We'll continue. You know what? you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. John, what are people saying here?
All right, 613-413-2217. We encourage your phone calls. We thank you for your texts as well. Whether you're on Facebook, either Lowell's Facebook, my Facebook, the Blast the Radio Facebook, you can post there. Same with Twitch and Twitter. Coraline says, yep, lived through Trudeau the first and the ridiculous interest rates. Don't want to do it again. Let's go to a text here at 613-413-2217. This comes from Alberta. It's simple. You get who you vote for. Enjoy. We have another 3 years with this federal government. Just think of it. Our finance minister is a journalist who is way over her head in this new position. Liberals killed our major resource sector. We have 3 more years with the Liberals. Ouch. Let's go to, where was that comment moments ago from Fran? I'm terrified of what's coming, and the country is on a downward spiral now, and it's going to get worse. I think there are many who don't care, don't think about it, or think, oh, nothing much is going to change. It's going to change, and it is going to affect our kids and grandkids. They will be paying the price for this damn liberal government and the billions they have thrown all over the world.
You know, John, had a long discussion. I had a number of people in, friends, relatives, etc., for a various birthday party. I had a week-long birthday. It was great. But we got talking about this, and as I listened to dear friends, I began to realize, you know what? We in this city, we live in a kind of bubble here. And let's face it, people in the income bracket, the higher income bracket, you live in, Canada, etc. Good for you. You've worked hard, etc. I'm not done. But that to me, I think, is becoming more and more removed from the reality of life for most. And it may be the same in downtown Toronto. I don't know. But as I talk with people, I begin to realize, lovely people, well educated, conservatives to the bone, but still, I don't think quite, in some cases, quite grasp what's happening here, because it doesn't really affect them. I mean, hey, listen, if you're making $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and you're trying to raise a couple of kids, then when the price of gasoline goes up 10 cents a liter, this really hurts. But if you're on, if you're on index pensions and got all sorts of savings, and like another 10 cent doesn't mean anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that there's such a bubble here, and I'm not. I get the feeling that it's reflected in the governments as well, including the civic government. Any government. I mean, how much have we spent now on light rail when we already had a perfectly good bus system?
And now let's make it free for everybody. That's the big conversation.
John, go ahead, please.
All right, let's go to Joshua. Building internet cafes would be more relevant than public libraries, as internet access is a greater need to the underprivileged than physical books.
Absolutely. This is, I mean, there's no question. I mean, we're voracious readers in this house. Read maybe a book a week, but it's all I can't tell you the last time that I went actually out and bought a book. And as someone who has been selling books for 10 years, I can tell you that the number of real hardcover books that are being sold has declined every year, not just with mine, but everybody. Sure, you're selling all kinds through the internet, et cetera, but like there's just no facing reality, it seems. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
All right, listen, we got some calls coming in. We'll get to those in a moment. We've got some other comments to get to, but we got to get a word in here for Shields, Lowell.
Yeah, you've taken the time off. I don't know what time it is here.
What timer?
It's time to do a Shields commercial, right?
Yeah, get to it, man. Come on.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, if money means anything to you, whether you got all kinds of money, whether you got index pensions coming out your yin-yang, money is still important. And anybody that's sane, and which includes anybody listening, watching this show, you're sane if you're listening to this show. You got a head on your shoulders. Good for you. Which means at least you should give Shields a call. Money matters. You'll be very, very surprised in many cases. I'm not saying that they can beat big box stores prices every time, but very often they can beat them. They can certainly match them. They can beat the delivery and all. The big warehouse filled. So, folks, doesn't matter what it is. All the brand names, all of the sizes, the colors, descriptions, wattages that are it's all there. Shields Furniture and Appliances. www.shields.ca. They're good folks, and they've got a great little butcher shop too. Go ahead, John.
All right. So the question you're asking, are you worried about a recession and inflation? So we're starting to get some answers to that question. Greg
Good.
says, I'm so concerned, Lowell. I lived through the 70s and 80s. We are screwed with jag meat. I am sick to see what is happening in our country.
How can 30% of the population support that jag meat? I have to be careful what I say here. How can people support what I mean? He as an individual, I'm sure he's a very fine fellow. A lot of women find him very attractive, but I mean, he wants to spend more money, more money, more. Where the hell is the money to come from? It's got to come from you sooner or later, or your children, your grandchildren. It doesn't come from the air. The country's not run on fairy dust or unicorn farts. Go ahead, John.
613-413-2217. This person texts to say, yes, I'm worried. What about those who finally bought a house and mortgage rates go up? What about their car they bought? It's disturbing, this government. Jean, I'm sorry, is it Jean? No, it's Jean. Jean, I get that wrong every time, and I apologize. I just catch it out of the corner of my eye, Jean. I just remember a world recession when PM Harper was in the chair. Canada's economy survived well and actually excelled. Maybe someone other than a journalist, like perhaps an economist, like the one we had in Harper, is what we need to steer this ship.
Well, we don't. We've got someone who either didn't know or refused to tell us how much 1% increase in interest would cost us in interest payments on the debt. I mean, how can a finance minister stand there and not answer a question like that? Go ahead, John.
Because she works with someone who believes the budget will balance itself. I mean, that's just how disinterested in it they seem to be. Let's go to email, Lowell@blasttheradio.com. Lisa says, Lowell, problem is you've got far too many people with more money than brains trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they don't know how to use either. Tom says, we aren't nuts. The people we vote for are. Justin says, this whole world
Yeah,
is
but
becoming...
wait a minute. Hold it.
Yep,
If we're voting for people who are nuts, then I mean, we got to be nuts.
Oh.
Only nutty people would support nutty people, as far as I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, pardon me. Yes, says Kellyanne. Every service is funded by taxpayers. Nothing is really free. Peter points out that Biden is hiking rates too, just for information. Don't need to be read. Oh, well, Peter, I read it. Justin says this whole world is becoming insane, and for this government to not stop the increase in gas prices, absolutely crazy. Mike says putting the world's third oil reserves to market would help tremendously right now.
Yeah, I know. I've said this before, and once again, I think a lot of people don't really realize this. Folks, with the price of gas and oil and natural gas today, this country should be rolling in dough. We shouldn't have to worry about a lack of money. We should have enough money to build a brand new hospital in every town, village, and hamlet in the country. We should be selling oil and natural gas to Europe, desperate need of it, shut out Russia, help the Ukraine, but we can't sell to Europe. We can't sell to Asia. We can't sell to anybody except the United States at vastly discounted rates. Why? Because the bloody environmentalists won't let us. Did you see this? We've got the province of Quebec now saying that they're going to pass a law making it illegal to drill for gas or oil. So, in other words, God bless the people of Quebec. They are saying, we're not going to buy Western oil. We're not going to buy Western oil. We're not going to drill for our own oil and gas. No, we're going to buy our oil from Saudi Arabia. We prefer Saudi Arabia to Canada, you bastards. Go ahead.
As far as I know, Lowell, there are only two ways to make money. Well, one way. You have to sell something, either a product or a service. We don't have, I mean, services, we've got a lot of high-tech engineers, et cetera. Certainly our military consults, blah, 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 blah. But as far as product to sell to the market, oil, we're sitting on a gold mine. It makes no sense to me.
It's tragic because not only are we robbing ourselves of billions of dollars, but we are robbing Europe of an alternate source to oil and gas other than Russia. If they could shut off Russian oil and gas, they could shut off the flow of money into Russia, money that is being used to fire bombs and missiles into Ukraine. So, in effect, And this may be drawing a long bow, but the fact of the matter is that the environmentalists, the Green Party, Jagmeet Singh, the liberals, right now are helping Russia bomb Ukraine. Maybe, you know what, maybe stretch, but it's a fact. If in fact they had allowed energy east, we would now be selling oil and gas to Europe. They wouldn't have to buy Russian oil and gas. Maybe Russia wouldn't be able to afford to bomb Ukraine. But no, we're not going to allow you. We're not going to allow Western oil into Eastern Canada. No. We're going to buy our oil. Well, in fact, for a while we bought it from Russia, right? Venezuela, Saudi Arabia. There's a great friendly country where most of our foreign oil is coming in from Saudi Arabia. Go ahead, please.
I haven't had a chance to screen the call, but we do have a call coming in right now. Let's go to the phone. Can we get your name, please?
This is Simon.
Oh, Simon, always good to hear from you.
Simon. What's on your mind here?
I
Simon?
don't always get a chance to listen live, so thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
I'm calling in. I am completely outraged by what's going on. I don't understand. You talk about now the interest rates are hiking. We're getting our green buses, green everything. How Canadians can continue to support a prime minister who is actively hurting its citizens? You were talking, I think, on Monday about harming the farmers with their fertilizer.
Fertilizer, yeah.
This is it's time to wake up. Where are the leaders hammering on this guy? Where's the average Canadian citizen rising up in anger against this? It is. I am deeply afraid.
Can I respond? Can I respond to that, please?
Absolutely.
Actually, excuse me. The citizens actually did rise up to protest. It was called a freedom convoy. So go ahead.
And look what happened. We're treating them like war criminals.
Yeah, very true.
It is.
By the way, anybody who doesn't think that Tamara Lynch is not a political prisoner, you're not paying attention. She is a political prisoner. 2 years ago, a group of native Aboriginals stopped a train in the dead of blizzard near Belleville. There was about 130 passengers on the train. This was during the night, including about 100 from Ottawa. They stopped the train. They forced the people off into a blizzard in Belleville to fend for themselves, including old people. And it was so ignored that the Ottawa Citizen didn't even carry one word about this. Can you imagine? They stopped a train, forcing more than 100 people out into a blizzard to fend for themselves in the dead of night. And the Citizen is so liberal prone, it refused to even print the story. I canceled my subscription because of that. That's just one example of what's going on here.
And Bill C-11 is about to pass through to say goodbye to any more negative news about Trudeau. This country is in serious danger, and it's time for people to wake up and get active.
I hope they do, sir. Thank you. You've done your share, I appreciate it very much. John, I have no idea what time it is here.
It's 28 minutes into the show, so you still got a couple minutes. In all of this, here, FFFF, this is this person's name, is upset because we only have one line into the studio. It's a recession. I can't afford another one. God.
Yeah, if he wants to send you, how much would it cost? If he wants to send you $1,000, you'll put another line in, right? 2,000? How about 10,000?
The last time I checked, Lowell, to get one of those broadcast telephone lines installed in here, the installation alone is about $3,000. The telephone interface is about $2,000. And
so if he sends you $5,000, you'll put in a second line.
Sure.
Okay, great. Expect the money tomorrow. Go ahead.
A GoFundMe. Yep. And by the way, we're tacking on an extra 2.5% to that because, that apparently is the number of the day. Oh, my God. The things that bother people. Deborah says the same voters that put the Liberals in power are the ones wanting all the things we have no money for. The interest on our own debt must be paid first. And at $1 billion a week, we suffer. I care, but I'm one vote. This country is in big trouble. Maggie says many were bought with empty promises. It was $10 a day daycare that got him the votes and guaranteed income they have promised for 2026.
By the way, has anybody out there got their $10 a day daycare yet? This should be well implemented. Any parent should now be able to get $10 a day daycare. All you should have to do is just pick up the phone and you'll get it right away. Is that available there? Go ahead, John.
Someone calling from Deep River. I'm wondering if this is FFFF. Go ahead. You're on live with Lowell Green.
No,
Hello,
it's
Deep River.
Connor.
Hi, Connor.
Hi,
ahead.
Lowell. Thanks for taking my
Go
call.
right to the
yeah.
call.
Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was gonna go ahead. You're right. I feel like you're rushing me a little bit, though. I just
30 seconds left in the show.
Connor, when you make
Yeah,
up your
but I
mind
mean-
what you want to say, let us know.
But it's Connor. I'm Connor.
Okay, Connor.
Hi,
Connor, when you get your brain implant, would you please let us know? You can call us then.
It's 2:30, Lowell.
How do you walk around with no brain? How do you walk around? Must be a little difficult. Probably stumbles a lot. Thank you all, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless you all.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.